Despite a huge police presence on the streets and what many residents of this southern city of Kunming said had been warnings going out to schools and universities and to state-owned enterprises that the employees and students could not demonstrate on Thursday. Despite that, at least 1,000, if not more, demonstrators came out onto the streets of Kunming to show their opposition to plans for a new oil refinery or chemical plant that they fear will release peroxylene into the environment there, known as PX, a carcinogenic chemical. And eyewitnesses described seeing the police drag away at least one, if not more, demonstrators. Despite that, these people came out in the streets determined to show their opposition. Towards the end of the day, the mayor of the city came out to speak to the crowd, and he got an earful from one of the demonstrators, as you can see in this YouTube video. Take a listen.
I have a few demands. First, media should be allowed to report this event and let people hear our righteous appeal. There must be a public vote on the project that involves every citizen. All procedures of the vote should be under supervision, and the result must be made public through media and internet. Third, peaceful protests like this one in Kunming are protected in any other country. You can persuade us in a nice way, but it's not right to stop us, separate us, and lock us down.
Now, John, it's important to note we've seen no mention of this demonstration in the Chinese state media, either in Beijing or in Kunming. If anything, the authorities clearly did not want this to happen. I spoke to one 25-year-old Chinese woman, a native of Kunming, who was detained 2 days before the demonstration for distributing leaflets that she herself had written against this proposed oil refinery. She says not only was she detained and interrogated for 9 hours, the police took her to her house, erased part of her laptop, and then took her to the print shop where she printed the leaflets to ensure that any leaflets that had been printed were collected by the authorities. It gives you a sense of how worried the local authorities are about signs of dissent about this controversial project. John?
Ivan, you mentioned at least one person dragged away, possibly others who were arrested, and a big effort clearly by China's censors to erase any trace of this demonstration in the media and online. But for the most part, this demonstration seemed to go ahead. Is that unusual?
Well, we're hearing, often secondhand and long after the fact, about different shows of public dissent and protest all across this country. The challenge is actually trying to go see them when it happens because, as I mentioned, the Chinese state media does not want to really promote these moments of public dissent and defiance. And often the Chinese security forces, they have ways of, how do you say, dissuading foreign journalists from getting to these locations. So the authorities certainly don't want this type of public demonstration to be promoted, but the fact is that there is a growing concern among many Chinese about the threat of this terribly polluted environment. If you can see behind me, John, and as you well know, the air in Beijing is very, very dirty. It's terribly polluted. It's rated unhealthy today. Even the mayor of Kunming, when he spoke to the demonstrators, he said, "I do not want the sky in Kunming to turn as gray as it is in Beijing." The whole country is aware of the threats to their public health of the pollution in the environment, and this is what is sowing some of the real frustration from ordinary Chinese and the distrust of their authorities and of the state-owned corporations here.